You gotta be flipping my flapjacks. I just watched an interview here that's absolutely amazing. I gotta react to this one for you guys here today, okay? Some shocking stuff happened in this interview. One is Hertz CEO literally should be working for Palantir. Like, I don't know what he's doing selling, trying to rent cars out. This man should work for Palantir, because when he describes the way Palantir's product is going to help that company, I'm like, oh my gosh, this man can sell. Like, he needs to come over to Palantir, please. He can sell 1,000 times better than Mr. Alex Karp can sell, okay? Alex Karp also reveals some details in this video that I think are very important, that I think went over a lot of folks' heads, that matters significantly to kind of what's going on out there right now. And I think it's very important that folks pick up on that, and I share that in this video. So thank you, by the way, everybody, for joining me. We are approaching 17,000 subscribers now on this channel, so I appreciate everybody that's enjoying the reaction channel. It's insane. Like, the growth has been nuts. This Hertz CEO, I start looking into this. I'm like, let me see, maybe we can hire him over at Palantir, right? And by the way, if anybody's keeping track at home, I'm up to 3,333 shares of Palantir in the public count as of right now. Hopefully going to get it to 10,000 plus by the next 3 months. I'll just put it that way, okay? But in regards to the CEO of Hertz, it's important you understand who he is, because if somebody like this is making that decision, who is this guy? Is it some random guy that's been at Hertz for 100 years? No, he's the former chief financial officer of Goldman Sachs. Now, why he decided to be the CEO of Hertz is beyond me. Okay, absolutely beyond me. I have no clue why he chose to be this job. If anything, that feels like a step down. No disrespect to Hertz or what they're doing or what they got going on, but if you told me I had to either be CEO of Hertz or the CFO of Goldman Sachs, I'd be like, CFO of Goldman Sachs, thank you very much, okay? Probably make way more money and be far more respected, to be quite honest, okay? So it was interesting, because I was looking into it. I was like, oh man, I think Palantir should hire this guy away, and he can help run the commercial business the way he can sell. It's absolutely amazing. So let me know any opinions shared in today's video. I'd love to hear from you guys as always. If you're looking to join my private stock group and get access to our Discord chat, including our Palantir Discord chat, check out the pinned comment down there to apply. And on top of getting into the Discord chat, you also get access to all my different course curriculums out there. So that will be pinned comment. Alrighty, guys, let's get into this.
Palantir announcing a new partnership today. The car rental company will utilize Palantir's Foundry software to help manage its 500,000 car fleet. Joining us now, Palantir CEO Alex Karp and Hertz CEO Stephen Scherr. Gentlemen, welcome to both of you. Thank you for joining me. Stephen, you've been making a lot of deals since you've been CEO. A month ago, we had you on with Mary Barra and GM, and now with Palantir. What will this do for you?
Well, part of our success will be the partners that we keep, and we're super happy to keep Palantir as a partner. What this will do for us is we're a business that sits on an enormous amount of data, both about our cars, about our customers, and the like. And positioning those cars and managing those cars to their highest efficiency obviously brings, positive outcomes for the company and for our customers. Palantir and their Foundry platform enables us to take very different forms of data, whether it's data about our vehicles, data about the weather, data about airline schedules, take all of that, combine them in a way where we're not compelled to put them in a common form, and they give us output on which we can manage the company better.
It's interesting.
Alex, it's good to have you on the show, and really interesting to learn about all the different ways that your software is being put to work. How did the Hertz connection come together?
Well, I mean, obviously, just from a purely data management perspective, it's one of the most interesting businesses in the world. You have this massive fleet of 500,000 cars. The cars are registered all over the U.S., which means re-registration and managing of the fleet becomes an asset allocation problem. Asset allocation problems that are also include regulation require essentially next generation software. It makes use of both Foundry 1.0 and 2.0, so managing the data, getting it into one place, and also when you have like a world-class CEO, as they have at Hertz, being able to impose the decisions on the data. And there was just a lot of excitement. Steve is kind of a cool dude and very, very into both the operations and the visions of the business. And that makes a discussion around how it'll be implemented and implementing decisions just really, really exciting. And I believe that, there are going to be winners both in the software industry and other industries, and people who can combine business acumen, management of very, very large data sets against time-sensitive decisions will win. And so it's just very cool to be in a partnership where I think we're going to win.
Well, Steve,
sometimes Karp, he answers questions backwards, or he just doesn't, she wanted to know kind of how this partnership came about, right? More like, did you reach out to Hertz? Did Hertz reach out to you, right? That's kind of the data we're looking for. And then you kind of take it from there. Karp's just got such a different approach to answering questions. Sometimes it can get a little frustrating. It's like, we asked this, why did we have to go way over here? Like, couldn't we have gone there after we addressed the direct thing first, right?
Here, I mean, you've been building out the EV part of your.
But remember, this is important, okay? I don't think anybody's ever brought this up before, ever, okay? Remember who Alex Karp is used to dealing with. Where did Palantir's business start? And, grow over the past 15 years or whatever, right? Government. So if you're dealing with government, you could be potentially dealing with a lot of politicians, right? Or people that deal with politicians, right? And so those folks obviously answer questions very, very differently than, let's call it the average person. And as a politician, you're usually kind of taught not to answer questions directly and to go about it a different way, right? And approach the question from a totally different angle that kind of almost confuses the other side sometimes, but doing just enough to give enough information there, right? And so sometimes you can become a product of your environment. That's the nature versus nurture thing, right? And so Karp, I think, sometimes has dealt with so many people in government before that sometimes he forgets just to answer a question directly and then go from there, right? And so it's just kind of like a little frustrating ordeal, but I don't think anybody's ever talked about that, and I think that's important, right? You're a product of your environment.
How does this Foundry software help you do that?
This is central to it.
This is big.
Part of what we do is we have telematics and intelligence in the car. We know where the cars are and where they're moving. But we want to know and anticipate things about the car. We want to know how much charge is an electric vehicle coming into our location with, how much time are we going to need to put that car back up to a charge and put it out again. We need to know if brakes are going to, are in need of repair, commission those parts ahead of time, have them there so we can turn the car quickly. Understanding and knowing that data, digesting that data, I think is the core of what we're trying to do here. This is a unique intersection of software and hardware. And obviously what Alex and his team at Palantir bring forward is an ability to take reams of information and consolidate it into a coherent package such that we can take action and action the data, that we're sitting on. And I think it's a super exciting opportunity, particularly around the electric vehicle, which is obviously the direction we're going in terms of taking our fleet to an electric fleet to the tune of about 25% by the end of 2024.
So very exciting, obviously, for Tesla or EV companies in general, right? But did you hear the way he just described that there, right? And this is where I talk about he does a better job selling Palantir than I think certainly Alex Karp can do, or most people, right? And I've always looked at Palantir as at the cross sections of data and artificial intelligence. And what he just described there with the Hertz business model, right, is that perfect intersection of data and artificial intelligence and helping be able to forecast, the brakes on the car are going to go bad in 3 months from now. So next month you need to order the parts because it's going to take 2 months to get those parts in, right? And then they need to be replaced, and doing this and doing that, right? And you need to charge this car at this time, and it's going to take exactly this time till it's done. And, those sorts of decisions are not just data related, but they also can get into artificial intelligence if you're talking about anything that's trying to predict future outcomes. And this is what's going to happen 3 months from now, 6 months from now, 12 months from now, based upon all this data it's using. That's where you get into the artificial intelligence part, right? And that's why I always looked at Palantir as that perfect kind of cross sections of those two incredible opportunities, right? Which, data is just enormous and it's just getting much bigger, right? And artificial intelligence is still fairly in the early innings, to be quite frank, compared to where it's going to be 5 years, 10 years, and 15 years out from now, right? So I think he just, explained that, that's the type of thing that I'm like, other CEOs of companies hear something like that, right? And their ears kind of like perk up a little bit, and they're like, this Palantir kind of sounds interesting, right? I just thought he just did a great job of selling Palantir, much better than I think almost anybody at Palantir could do. So that was great to hear that right there.
Alex, for Palantir, I've noticed that the Foundry software is being adopted by a number of transportation companies, not just Hertz. I think you have deals with United and Ferrari and Airbus. How big is this business going to get, and why is there such a good match here with some of these transport companies?
All right, remember the question she just asked there. Let's see if Alex Karp directly answers it, right? How big could this business be? And, why are so many transportation companies essentially using Palantir?
Well, first of all, this is what makes this partnership particularly interesting is that you just have this combination between things that Foundry has done in the past, like preventive maintenance, looking forward, cycle of life, predicting where an asset should be, with dramatic issues around registration and how vehicles are registered, and then moving to a more climate-friendly fleet, all of which requires both integrating the data and then being able to decide against the data. And these are very, very big steps. We do well with complicated, interesting problems where the software gets shown off to be valuable. As your listeners know, most software is kind of not super useful. And so we are always looking for industries where you can just really dominate through the integration of hardware and software and entrepreneurial acumen. And there's a lot of industries out there. Some of the most notable, though, are these very, very complicated, very regulated, super international or interjurisdictional businesses that involve large machines, cars, planes. And so, the software, the harder the use case, the more the software has to be performant, the less it revolves around sales. We don't think we're good at sales. We think a lot of software companies are great at sales, and we want to show off software that works with partners that are the best. And so we seek them out, and to some extent, they seek us out.
Is it
Sarah,
go ahead, Stephen.
I feel like Steven's like, damn it, Karp, you can't freaking sell your product. I'll step in here and sell it for you, damn it.
I was just going to say, part of the success of our company rests on the level of utilization that we can put our cars out, right? The return on our assets is key to financial return to our shareholders. What that means is we need to use our cars. Utilization needs to be high. It means we need to bleed dead time out of, the time a car is out of service. It means registering the cars quickly, repairing the cars quickly, charging the cars quickly. Anticipating all of that and aggregating the data such that we can act on it is really at the core of what we're going to do with Palantir. It is all about taking up the utilization, the usable time a car is out on the road as a financial earning asset for the company.
Yeah, I mean,
Thank you. Somebody hire this man. Please, somebody hire this man. He just needs to run Palantir's commercial business, okay? That's all he needs to do. And Karp can run the government business. Karp can still be the overall CEO of the company and the leader of the company. But somebody needs to hire this man, okay? Because this man gets it. He just gets it. And, it's just beautiful. And man, just wonderful.
You're bringing it to 2022.
The only thing I like about Karp not being necessarily the best at selling is it makes the stock a lot cheaper than it would be. Because I can tell you, if this man was leading Palantir, the share price wouldn't be $7 here a day. I can tell you that much. Because Wall Street would just get it, and he understands Wall Street. This guy, he's old CFO of Goldman Sachs. If anybody that understands Wall Street speak, talking about a business and understanding, making it make sense to an average person. Right? Not everybody that is, has big money is like a 700 IQ person, okay? You need to be able to break your business down step by step in a simple manner, like this gentleman just did, in how Palantir is helping their business in a simple manner, right? And get into those nitty-gritty details, give you just enough that you're like, I get it. I get how they're helping this Hertz business. I could see that helping this other business. That's how you got to do it, man. That's how you sell. That's how you get it done. And especially if you're talking about shareholders, future investors understanding this, okay? So I think this gentleman needs to forget the rental car business, man. That's a commoditized crap business. Come on over to Palantir. Let's build this baby to a $250 billion company over the next decade and forget everything else, okay? We got the product here. We just need a man who can sell this product the way it needs to be sold, and this man can do it. That's all I'm gonna say about that. He won the job. If I'm Palantir CEO, I'm hiring this man ASAP. He could be the number 2. That's fine with me.
A car is such an old school experience that often involves a lot of headaches.
2027. 2027.
Okay, 2027. There you go. Into the future. So, Alex, what I was going to ask about was you say that you are attracting a lot of partners with complicated business. What's happening with spending right now? Because there are increasingly worries about the economy and companies having to cut back, batten the hatches, as Jeff Bezos tweeted last night in response to something that was said on CNBC. So have you seen an impact in terms of software spending from...
This is actually a pretty good answer Karp gives here. I'll give him credit for this particular answer. And then one comes a little later that really is really good, and that's right up his wheelhouse.
Customers and potential customers?
We have a global business, and Europe is slower, both because of financial constraints, energy problems, war on the border, and general kind of slowness in adoption of new technologies. In the U.S., our company's grown 67% year on year the last 3 years. What we see are, tough times bring out great leaders and great leadership. And the way you win in tough times is by, as discussed as an example, you take an asset and make the asset more valuable. You explain it to the financial world that it will be more valuable. You show your customers more value. And then in a weird way, the tough times make you a stronger business. So pounding your business turns your business to steel. And so what we're by and large seeing pretty significant uptick in demand in the U.S., both commercial and in government for very different reasons. And we think the bad times will force people to move away from software that's about churning your own data and looking in the mirror at it to decisions, figuring out how you can win, better asset allocation, making your asset more valuable, and it'll push very strong leaders like Steve to the top, which we think is really a crucial part of why American industry is so strong.
It's really
great answer by Karp there. That's right up his wheelhouse. And the next one you'll get to in just a moment is even more up his wheelhouse. Let's
interesting that you're seeing an uptick in business in the U.S. Stephen, curious about what you're seeing, because I was just going through the Beige Book put out by the Fed this afternoon, and a lot of the districts, including in New York, very strong in tourism. Some other parts of the economy are starting to weaken, but have you seen any slowdown?
Well, we'll report earnings next week, and so, we'll provide quite a bit of detail on it. I will tell you that what you're hearing, for example, over the last 2 weeks from the airlines, for example, I think is indicative of the environment we're operating in, which is that leisure demand is very strong. Corporate demand is increasing, and increasing among larger corporates. I think we first saw recovery among small and mid-sized businesses. Now we're seeing increasing travel among corporates. I'd also point out, and
that's important what he just brought out there. That is so important, right? Because when, I feel like 2022 has been the year of a lot of folks kind of returning to the office, right? And getting back to the in-person grind and those sorts of things, right? And the companies that did that first were definitely the smaller organizations and mid-sized companies. But for the large organizations, the massive ones, this has been the year they returned, but not really the year they're necessarily doing big travel. I know a lot of people that work fairly high up at most of the big tech companies, and a lot of those folks have just started traveling again in the past, I would say, 3 months. And all those ones that I personally know that work for the big techs, for instance, they've had to go back to the corporate campus now. Some of them are doing like part-time thing. Some of them are back full-time at their corporate campuses. It depends on the company they work for, essentially. And then on top of that, what I'm seeing is some of those folks are starting to travel again now. But the big travel is going to ramp up in 23 for a lot of those big, huge companies that do business all over the globe and whatnot, right? And certainly all over the United States. So conferences, right? That's a huge thing here in Vegas, the city I live in. And I can tell you that conferences are 100% full back in 2023 out here in Vegas. I would call them about 75% back this year in 2022. Some conferences have held off because they're kind of like, they didn't know what the dynamic was going to be, right? And they kind of were like, let's wait till 2023 and we're sure everything's fine. Because even going into 2022, right, Rona was still kind of a thing that people worried about and you didn't really know what was going to happen. In these conferences, many times you got to plan them at least 6 months, if not 12 to 18 months in the future. So 23, full go for travel for all these companies and full go for the conferences again, right? Which obviously helps a company like a Hertz out in a pretty significant way there. So that definitely the story's adding up.
And as you heard from the airlines, we're seeing longer rentals, which is suggestive of the fact that people are combining business and leisure, in kind of the new order in which business is being conducted. And then equally, we're starting to see a reintroduction of foreign inbound travelers to the United States. Again, we'll report next week and give all the details around it. Suffice to say that we're living among and we are operating among the same sort of, trends that you've heard from United and Delta and others over the last, week and a half.
Yeah, which have been very strong. So thanks for sharing that. Alex, final question to you, because I always think of you at the center of some of these geopolitical issues. And I'm sure you read Xi Jinping's speech this week to his party at the Congress. A lot of talk of technology and just overall reflective of the increasingly tense relationship between the U.S. and China. I was curious what you made of that speech and where you think this is going, given your vantage point into government defense.
So a very important answer Karp's about to give here, and so up his wheelhouse. To give you a baseball analogy of this, Karp's like a batter who, if you throw him just a regular fastball, he can't hit the dang thing. It's like, how does he not just hit a basic fastball? Like, come on, man. You got to be able to hit that thing, right? Which is selling Palantir. Yet you throw him some complicated pitch like a slider or a curveball or a knuckleball or something crazy like that, and he hits a grand slam, and it's like, dude, how you answer this question, but you can't answer like a simple question like trying to sell your dang product or explaining it, right? And this he answers pretty well.
We at Palantir have been taking the threat of our adversaries, both in Russia and China, seriously for the last 18 years. We believe the West has a software advantage at war, but not in internal surveillance, which I think is destructive of societies. I think this is going to get much worse before it gets better.
He thinks it's going to get much worse before it gets better. It's important comments there. Important comments from Alex Karp. He thinks it's going to get worse before it gets better in regards to geopolitical situation.
Because the capabilities that the U.S. government has, both in software and hardware, are still underestimated despite recent events. And because our adversaries largely just underestimate us. They look at us and they see certain things that are obviously crazy, but they underestimate the entrepreneurial talent of the American people to rebuild things, redo things, to act quickly. And the impact of software-hardware combination, whether it's this partnership or on the battlefield, is just something that is clearly on display and still underestimated. So I predict bad before it gets good.
Alex?
Yeah, not ideal, but, Karp just gave the truth. He expects bad before he expects good. So, that was very important there at the end, right? And definitely that's one of the worries, if you're talking about one of the things that worries me in regards to the market for 2023, it is if there's any sort of China-Taiwan situation or any ramp up with the whole Russia situation going much, much worse, right? Those are sorts of things that worry me for 2023. And the other thing, obviously, is the real estate market for 2023 and what's that going to mean for the economy as, you get kind of further along in the year. Those are my main concerns. So anyways, that was pretty good. And that Hertz CEO, man, I'm telling you, that man could sell Palantir's products. So hope you guys enjoyed today's video. As always, I appreciate each and every one of you for joining. Thanks for being subscribed, everybody here. Also, if you're looking to join us in the private stock group and including the Palantir Discord chat, as well as all our course curriculums and things like that, check out the pinned comment down there to join us in there. Much love as always, and have a great day.